Am I late to BookTube? Yes. Is this unscripted? Yes. Do I care? No. So, hey BookTube, how's it going? I suppose you would like an introduction, obviously, right? My name is Karissa, and I originally joined BookTok because I'm an artist and I'm from Philadelphia, and I wanted to have a space to explore my hobbies, my bookish interests that were separate from my art, because sometimes, you know, I can become so consumed into my art that I don't have anything else going on in my life, you know what I'm saying? Now, on my little BookTok account, I would just talk about books that I read, majority fantasy, occasionally romance, manga, anime, just anything that drove my interest, and I found a safe space in doing that, and I wanted to try to come over to BookTube and maybe slash cozy hobby YouTube and see how that would work, and so this is what we're doing. Now, one of the things I would like to avoid on this channel is, you know, being really unrealistic and perhaps too cozy, because one of the things that I feel like is lacking in cozy content and bookish content is the realness of it. You know, example, I'm an artist. Sometimes I am tired, I am exhausted, and I do just want to read for fun. But then there's times where I want to read and be serious. But at the same time, I don't know, I just want there to be some realness, and I want this to be a space where I could talk about my hobbies, my honest opinions with you guys, and just let loose and hop away from the stress occasionally, but also talk about real life things as well. But overall, this will be the hobbies channel where I talk about games I like, mangas I like, maybe things that I've watched like anime, shows, things like that, and of course books, because that's quite obviously the center. There will, of course, be a focus on marginalized authors because I read diversely, and I also jump into different genres if you can't tell. So yeah, this is just a space for exploration on my part. I mean, I am biracial, I don't know what you would expect from me otherwise. Anywho, I wanted to share some of my 2024 reading stats and some of my bookish favorites while we're here, because why not? This can't just be an introduction video, that would be too boring. Now, I mainly use Storygraph to track my reading because I don't know, it's more simpler for me, and I could put in manga volumes that is a little bit harder for me to track on things like Goodreads and Fable, and you know, Fable controversy, all that stuff. I'm not using Fable no more. But in 2024, I decided that my reading goals would just be 60 books like the previous year, because I just wanted to balance my reading with, you know, my art and job hunting, because job hunting is forever, and my art again consumes so much of my life that I kind of would just like to have a balance of my time and to read for my own personal joy, so I thought 60 books would be enough. Now, we did make it to 60 books, and that was a really good thing. We also went to the library a bit more this year. We got into audiobooks, which was really great. And I started to use Comics Plus towards the end of the year, which is something that is offered with your library. So if you want to read like comics, manga, I would highly recommend getting your library card and logging into Comics Plus if you go to your library and you can't find the mangas you want. Yeah, I know, I'm drinking coffee at a late hour. Shut up. Mind your business. Now, I started off the year reading Salt Houses, which I read as an audiobook, and it was such a beautiful audiobook. I would highly recommend it in its audiobook format. And you know, we were reading for Palestine on BookTok and everywhere else, so that was really interesting. Towards the end of the year, my last book was actually Squire, which was a very interesting read as well, and that too was a graphic novel, and I really loved that. I also finally read Ace of Spades this year, and it was really frustrating, but I love it. I loved it. If you're like impatient, it might, you know, trigger you a little bit because, you know, it's long, kind of, but it was really good. It's definitely worth the suspense. I would highly recommend it, and just read it until the end. Read it until the end. Do I feel like maybe the ending was a little rushed? Yeah, sure, but I loved it anyway. But overall, the reading moods for this year were very lighthearted, adventurous, very chill. It seems like I wanted something that was just going to like help me relax, while also still picking up occasional non-fictions. But you know what? You know who won this year? Again, mangas. Because I am a manga reader. I read them faster, you know? So I was reading A Sign of Affection, Dungeon Meshi, I decided to pick up the Dracula Classics manga version, and that was very interesting. It was very beautiful, compelling. It was long. It was very, you know, beefy, but I think the art was absolutely beautiful and stunning, and like, I don't know, I just didn't know that they had that until, of course, I picked up Comics Plus. Also, one of my side goals this year in 2024 was to pick up more Western comics, just because, like, I don't know, I do heavily lean towards manga, I'm not gonna lie to you, and for a while, ever since high school, I've been looking at Monstrous. I see it on the bookshelves in, you know, Barnes and Noble, and yeah, I decided to finally pick it up, and I loved it. I liked the first volume, it was really good. Now, this is clearly fantasy, and like, yes, I get it's an older series, blah blah blah, should have been read it a while ago, but I really love it, love the art. One thing that I will say though is that it does have heavy info dump pages, which kind of annoys me just a little bit, because I personally feel like a comic's job is to show you the story, not tell it to you, and so that's one thing that I feel like maybe could have been explored more in this series. Instead of info dumping, they could have just shown it to you, because that's what a graphic novel is for. That's the point. But I'm gonna continue with the series anyway. I really do love it. There's really nothing wrong with doing that. It's just that that is a pet peeve of mine personally. I also read The Marble Queen on Comics Plus, and the art is really beautiful. It is a romance, a sapphic romance. It's really nice and diverse. I really liked it, but at the same time, I kind of wish that they dove into some concepts more about, you know, anxiety and things like that. But also the ending does feel rushed, but it's still equally beautiful. I would still recommend it. I think it's beautiful. And towards the end of the year, I read this graphic novel called When I Arrived at the Castle, and it's kind of like horror, psychological thriller. I feel like it hints at romantic vibes, but I wasn't too sure, to be honest. Like, I feel like this is one of the graphic novels that I read that was really confusing for me towards the end, but I feel like I got it, but I also feel like I didn't get it. It was really beautiful though. The art is absolutely stunning, beautiful, really, it implies so much, but I feel like this would have made a great short animation or something, because I would actually love to see it animated. I also read the BL manga series called Confessions of a Shy Baker, and I will say that that was very interesting, because it's not so much romantic, it's actually more of like a statement on what it's like to be in the LGBTQ plus community in Japan, and how, like, even being part of the LGBTQ community, you still have your own biases about others in the community. So I really liked how this series actually, you know, talked about certain takes and topics about, you know, just the LGBTQ community, transphobia as well, and just, you know, opinions on drag and everything. It was a lot actually, and it's very interesting, visually interesting in terms of the metaphors that are used, but it's also just, this is one of the mangas that isn't like fetishized to me. Like, there's not really a lot of fetishes in it to me. There's not a lot of like romantic, overly romantic moments. This is just like, it's like a societal statement almost, to me at least. It's also one of the BLs that is not written by a woman, which I found to be very interesting. You know, I'm just saying, just, you know what I mean if you know what I mean, right? Now, I do want to address audiobooks this year. 4 of my favorite audiobooks was, you know, Salt Houses, Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist, which is a sapphic romance that's like Halloween townish vibes, and it's really cute. I really loved it. And then, of course, there was The Message, which was really informative, interesting. I really loved the prose in it. And then I also listened to We're All So Good at Smiling, which was absolutely beautiful as an audiobook, because, you know, the music, and like, it was just really, it was really nice. Now, to my shock, my favorite book this year was The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton, and it was just so good. Like, I thought it was gonna be kind of Hallmarky when I first picked it up, but I was just so happy that it wasn't. Now, this is an adult romance about basically a jobless event planner who is struggling, who basically has to fake a relationship with an astronaut, and it was so cute. I really loved it. It had me, you know, giggity, but it also had me sad, because it talks about concepts of loss and things like that when it comes to family members. and it was gorgeous. I loved it actually. And I originally picked it up at the library because it just so happened to be at the library the first week that it was out. So yeah, I read it at the library first, and then I decided to go get it from Pango Books. Yeah, it was a good decision on my part, honestly. And then of course towards the end of the year, I kind of played myself thinking that I was gonna read Braiding Sweetgrass within the last week of the year, along with Beast of Prey, and I've been wanting to read these for a while, but they're like more beefier, so I decided I'm just gonna put them on pause because Storygraph has a pause option now. So yeah, I'm gonna start them this year, the year 2025, and I want to actually annotate Braiding Sweetgrass because I feel like it has so much to say. But that's all I read in 2024, and I don't want this video to get too long, so I just wanted this to be an introduction video of, you know, inserting myself into BookTube and the cozy space and just saying hello, because clearly TikTok's not talking no more, you know what I'm saying? A lot is going on over there, and I don't have time for that. So I hope that this year will be another great reading year, and it's nice to be here. But what was your favorite book in 2024? And what are you excited to read in 2025?